Hello everyone, Son of the West again. So, sure me Sean, you can call me whatever you want, doesn't really matter to me. I'm coming to you today to talk to you a little bit more about the Gospel of Thomas, because I believe that 100% that Jesus' knowledge has been censored by the leaders of organized religion, because they really don't want you to know what he was talking about, because they want to tell you what he was talking about, so you keep giving them your money. So when I found the Gospel of Thomas, I was blown away. I was just amazed at the simplicity of his knowledge, and what he was doing with his life and his time in the world was just amazing to me. So I'm coming to you today to talk to you a little bit more about the Gospel of Thomas, and I left off with number 11 last time, and so I'm going to start with number 12, and I'll go through 16. So today we'll start with number 12. The disciples said to Jesus, "We know that you are going to leave us. Who will be our leader?" Jesus said to them, "No matter where you are to go to James the Just, for whose sake heaven and earth came into being." So let's talk about that one for a minute, because look at this saying. No matter where you are to go to James the Just. So no matter where they are, if they can just go to James the Just for their leadership, then James the Just must be within them. James the Just must be the child of God in them that is experiencing through the world. And that's why, for whose sake heaven and earth came into being. So, first of all, if they can go to him wherever they are, then it's got to be within them. And when you realize that Jesus was telling people to eat psilocybe mushrooms to get in connection with that inner self and the inner kingdom and their spiritual self, so to speak, their inner prophet, so to speak, you know, when you have an inner question, that answer that comes back is that's coming from James the Just. It's coming from your higher self. It's coming from God. It's coming from whatever you want to call it, the universal consciousness. You know, basically that's what it comes down to. Is you can go to it wherever you're at. Once you eat the shroom and you partake in the psilocybin sacrament and the mystic communion that was meant to, connect you with that inner self, then once you have the connection, then, like Jesus said, hey, to he who comes undone, you should fast and pray, because how have I come undone? And so once you achieve that state of being a oneness, then you don't lose that state, and you stay in that state. And it's an amazing thing once you start to realize everything, once you start to see it as it is, and to see what it was designed to do, and to see everything the way it's created for you and what it's created for you for. Then you're like, wow, man, it's just amazing. So no matter where you are, you go to James the Just, for whose sake heaven and earth came into being. So when you understand that the world as we know it today is an illusion designed to teach us about ourselves, then you understand that James the Just is who you are inside, and you're learning through the outside experiences how to be. For whose sake heaven and earth came into being. It's for his sake. It's for the betterment of James the Just, who is the child of God, who is you. You are the child of God, and all of this is for you. You just don't realize it. So, and because you don't realize it, you don't see it as it is and what it's supposed to do for you. So, number 13, Jesus said to his disciples, "Compare me to something and tell me what I am like." So Simon Peter said to him, "You are like a just messenger." Matthew said to him, "You are like a wise philosopher." Thomas said to him, "Teacher, my mouth is utterly unable to say what you are like." Jesus said, "I am not your teacher, because you have drunk You have become intoxicated from the bubbling spring that I have tended. And he took him and withdrew, and spoke 3 sayings to him. When Thomas came back to his friends, they asked him, "What did Jesus say to you?" Thomas said to them, "If I tell you one of the sayings he spoke to me, you will pick up rocks and stone me, and fire will come from the rocks and devour you." So, because you have drunk, he gave them mushroom tea. They drank and they became intoxicated from the tea and the bubbling spring of knowledge and goodness that comes up from that. That's the bubbling spring that he tended. And he took him and withdrew, and spoke 3 sayings to him. And when Thomas's friends asked him, "What did he say to you?" he said, "If I even tell you one of the things." Because what you learn is not for others, it's for you. Because it's you who is being created by God. It is you who is coming into being as God's child. The truth has been all around us every day, all the time. Most people just choose not to see it. So if you can see it, then you're blessed, because you're way ahead of the rest. And you can help everybody you want to, and you can try to put your knowledge out there, but realistically, if they're not already seeing it around them, they're not going to hear what you have to say, and they're going to be like, "Yeah, right, you're crazy, whatever." And their ego is going to prevent them from seeing that they've been misled, because their ego doesn't want them to feel like they're like a sucker. And so they'd rather hear nothing from anyone than to hear that they might have been misled by somebody else. So, because you have drunk, you have become intoxicated from the bubbling spring that I have tended. So, the wellspring of knowledge that comes from the psilocybin mushroom, that's what Jesus was tending. So, number 14, Jesus said to them, "If you fast, you will bring sin upon yourselves. And if you pray, you will be condemned. And if you give to charity, you will harm your spirits. When you go into any region and walk about in the countryside, when people take you in, eat what they serve you, and heal the sick among them. After all, what goes into your mouth will not defile you. Rather, it's what comes out of your mouth that will defile you." So, first of all, if you fast, what happens? You deplete yourself of nourishment. And so your body craves nourishment at that point. So and therefore you're consumed by that physical desire. You bring physical desire upon yourself when you fast. So sin itself is, in this statement, physical desire in any form. And if you pray, you will be condemned, because people pray for things. They pray for help. They pray for this. They pray for that. And truly, all you can hope to pray for is the knowledge to help others. But in itself, you can't help anyone, because to help somebody else goes against free will. Because you either choose to see or you choose not to see. It's simple as that. And he talks about, when you go into any region, walk about in the countryside, when people take you in, eat what they serve you. Don't be rude. Don't be disrespectful. Don't be like, ew, yuck, that's gross. Especially if somebody took time to prepare a meal for you. Be honorable. Be gracious. Be thankful. Be loving. Like Jesus said, love each other. Eat what they serve you and heal the sick among them. The sick are the people who are consumed by hate, consumed by selfishness, consumed by greed, consumed by ego, consumed by pride. Help them by giving them an example. Free them from the confusion that the Sadducees and the Pharisees have created, and the system that's designed to profit from your spirituality and your contributions. That's what the misdirection has been created for. And so to heal the sick among them is to kind of point the misdirected in the right direction. And that's what it is to heal the sick among them. And then he says, he comes out right here and says, what goes into your mouth will not defile you. Hello? It's what comes out of your mouth that will defile you. So be aware of what you're saying. Know about how you're affecting others. If you were to take that person who prepared a meal for you and you were to say, oh, that's gross, oh, I'm not going to eat that, then you would harm that person. You would harm their love, you know. It's like a slap in the face. So I'm running out of time today, guys, but I'm gonna finish up. Like I said, I'll go through number 16. Jesus said, when you see one who was not born of woman fall on your faces and worship, that one is your Father. So he may be talking about how you're reborn of the psilocybin mushroom. And so I laugh when Christians tell me, oh, I've been reborn in the Holy Spirit. And, you know, maybe they have, but realistically, whenever anybody tells me that, and I always tell them, well, what was it like to die? Because in order to be reborn, shouldn't you must first die? And now, when I had the psilocybe mushroom experience, I did encounter death. I did encounter leaving the world. And then I was reborn in more of a spiritual image, not of a physical self, but of a spiritual self, one who's here to help everyone. And again, you can't do it for them, and you can tell them as much as you can, but if they're choosing not to listen, then you got to let them make that choice. So what he's talking about is the spiritual rebirth that happens as you consume the psilocybin mushroom and you go through the valley of death, basically. And when your faith is strong, you have no fear because you know that God is there and you're not worried. But if you don't believe in God, then you are fearful in that time, and you don't love God with all your heart, and you cling to the world, and you cling to the, you know, worldly self, and that's what causes you to, you know, to fall away basically from God and to become of the world instead of the Spirit. So number 16, I will end with this one. Actually, I'm going to end with 17 today. I'm going to go a little longer. Jesus said, perhaps people think that I have come to cast peace upon the world. They do not know that I have come to cast conflicts upon the earth, fire, sword, and war. For there will be 5 in a house. There will be 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. Father against son, and son against father, and they will stand alone. Jesus said, I will give you what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no hand has touched, what has not arisen in the human heart. So, the eye is physical, the ear is physical, the hand is physical, the human heart is physical. And so, these are all physical things. Love is not a physical thing. And so, He has come to give us the love of the Father. And that's what no ear has heard and no hand has touched and not has arisen in the human heart. Because the love of God is a spiritual love, and it's not a physical thing. And so that's what He came to give us. And, you know, when I skipped over 16, but basically that's, you know, when people, they think that Jesus came to bring peace and harmony to the world, but realistically He came to end the world. He came to bring you out of the world. And so when it comes to there will be 5 in a house, there will be 3 against 2 and 2 against 3 and father against son and son against father, and they'll stand alone. It's because is the ideas of His teachings. It's the ideas of His, you know, basically you are your own child of God and you stand alone with God. And a lot of times this puts you in, especially after you've found God through eating psilocybin mushrooms, this puts you at odds with your family, that puts you at odds with your church, this puts you at odds with, you know, basically anybody you try to share this enlightenment with. It is, you know, it puts you against the mainstream idea of what God is, and what religion is, and what spirituality is, and that's what he's talking about here is that. So I wish you the best luck in the world. I just finished a long day of hard work dealing with buyers and sellers, and I understand what Jesus meant when he says buyers and sellers don't enter the places of my Father. It's because buyers and sellers are always trying to get from each other, and the only reason you're trying to get from somebody else is that you haven't been filled up by God inside. And because when you've been filled up by God and love inside, then you don't need to get from others. You're satisfied already, you know. And people ask me, they're like, oh, well, you don't really eat that much anymore. You don't, you sold your nice car. You don't hardly comb your hair very much anymore. We're seeing changes in you. What's going on? And it's because I don't need all the vanity anymore. I don't need the flashiness anymore. But that's it for today, guys. Good luck. God bless.